Welcome everybody, Steve here. Well, we're in part 2 of my rustic frame, and today I'm going to de-stress it to make it look like really old weathered wood. And I'm going to use my grinder and my sandblaster. So let me show you how I do it. Now to de-stress everything, you know, the guy could just take the sandblaster and go, but I'm going to give it a helping hand because, you know, there's going to be a lot of little grooves. I'm going to, you know, make a couple little dish outs here and there, and I'm going to use my grinder. And I've got this is just a 40 grit pad on here, and I'm just going to rough things up to give it a good start. If that makes some good sense. You could use a belt sander. You could use a lot of different things for this. You know, a little pad on a drill. Just give it a start. That's all you need to do. Well, we got her done, and it looks great. Well, it's getting kind of cold and it's getting kind of dark, so it's off to the other shop. We'll get a stain on her. Can't wait. I'm just mixing up some stain here. Now I kind of want a gray brown, so I'm starting out with some classic gray Mim wax. Make sure you mix enough because you don't want to have to do this again. But I mixed it in little bits there, so at the very beginning to get the color that I wanted. And really, you could go with a bunch of different variations, and it's probably not going to matter. But when I'm looking at this combination, you can go whatever color you want. You can go blue if you want. Okay, what do I want? This is a gel stain, and this is just dark walnut. Now, as long as it's oil and oil, you can mix, but don't be mixing water base and an oil base, because that's not going to work out very well for you. Just a little brown. Time to start staining. Now I got my stain mixed up here, and when you put a gel stain in with a regular stain, you know, sometimes you'll get little specks of, you know, little tiny microscopic specks of the dark or the gel stain. In my case it's the brown. But what that's going to do is just leave a little bit of a brown streak in there, and that's what I'm hoping for, you know, to give it a little bit of variation. This is rustic looking wood, so you know there's not going to be just one color. It's not going to be homogeneous. Okay, we're just using a sponge brush here. Lay it on. And then just wipe it off. Now when I was sandblasting, I said I was just going to put a rivet in these. What I did is just kind of sandblasted around them. I just thought that would be a little easier than wrecking a nice rivet. This is, it doesn't brush on very well, that's for sure, when you got this really, really rough wood. And then when you take it off, yeah, that's nice, and I want a nice deep dark color. I don't know if you can see that, but let's take a look. It's going to look good. Now don't worry, I'm going to show you how to show some grain if you want to show some grain. Okay, we'll just keep on going here. You know, these projects are kind of fun, and when you're done you're going like, ah, I finally got that picture frame done. But a lot of people are afraid of the finished part. And the toughest part is, you know, what color do I choose? What is it going to go with? I think this is going to go well. If not, I'll sandblast it again, start over. Oh, I better not be doing that. Now I've got enough stain here. I don't know if one coat, when you sandblast it, you're opening up these pores in a big, big way. So one coat should do it. But we will soon find out when it dries, because it'll dry a little lighter than what it is when it's first applied. Now I really recommend you use oil when you're doing something like this, because when you're doing something rustic you want some variations in the color. I think that oil gives you a lot more flexibility when it comes to you know, changing the color. You know, I've got a base color on here, I've got a little bit of brown, some grays mixed together, but if I want, say, a little lighter spot, I can just take some of the gray and just rub it down, and it will lighten up that area. So you're going to get all these different variations. And if, let's say I wanted some really deep, dark colors, then I could actually go in and use maybe an ebony, or go back with the dark walnut. But I kind of want it on the gray brown side. So I'm just going to add a little bit of gray here and there, and that will just kind of break up the monotone. Because this old rustic stuff, you know, it's hard to do. You know, it's not the easiest thing in the world. You got to try it and just accept your results. But in my opinion, you know, you do, let's say you're going to cover a beam or something like that, you can use plywood and then give it a little sandblast and then do the same finish, and you know, it's going to look like an old barn board, a beam, which hardly exists anymore. Yeah, I like a little bit of this gray, it's looking good. Now, when I talk and say, yeah, sandblast, sandblast, of course that's the easiest way of doing it, but you don't have to. You can just go out and get yourself a wire wheel on a drill and do that. That's going to take you a lot more time, of course. But you just got to find that Zen moment, and then you're good to go. Let's say you want to expose some wood grain. What you do is you just take a rag, put a little thinner in it, do a little shot, don't spray your wood, and then you can just manipulate it a little bit. Just, you don't need to have the grain showing everywhere, you just, every once in a while, you can just wipe that right down, and I'll give you a close-up over here, but just takes it to the next level. And we're all about that. Especially the knots. They look good when the grain is a little bit of exposed. Okay, now if I was to let this sit overnight and tried to do this, I'd have to work a little bit harder. You know, I'm still just finishing up the staining. So I'm manipulating things as I go, and that seems to be working really, really well. And that's, like I said, that's the nice thing about oil. If you're using an alcohol base, nah, I don't think you could ever achieve, you know, results for something like this. Anyway. I think alcohol, you should be spraying those anyway. See how it just kind of takes off the stain and leaves a little bit of the wood behind. Just like real life. We're all stained up. That looks really good. Now it's going to lighten up a little bit when it dries. So it's going to be just even a little bit better. And yeah, I kind of like the look. It's going to work for me. Now if I really wanted to, I could add some dark areas, but I think I'm just going to stick with this. Just a nice weathered look wood and that's it. You know, don't want to have too much character because then you're going to take away from the painting. You know, I don't want my frame to be nicer than the painting. Well, in this case, it could never be nicer than the painting. All right, we'll let this set overnight and we'll catch up to you in the morning. Don't forget to dispose of your rags. I usually take mine out to the fire pit, light them on fire. So I'm getting all set up for a clear coat. I'm looking at this and I'm going, it's just a little on the monotone side. Okay, so it's the next morning. This has been dry. So I'm using just a little tiny bit of, this is gun stock. So it's kind of an orangey brown. And you barely put anything on the rag. And just, you know, you just need a little bit of a warmer tone on an edge or something. Throw it in there. It's not going to hurt. It's going to warm it up a little bit and just take that, you know, that monotone away just a little bit. Don't forget to do your sides. This is where, if you're not an artist, well, you are today. Just a bit on the rag. You can see that if you just do a little bit here and there, just warms it up. There we go. Now it's got a little bit more of a warmer tone to it. I was hoping that there would have been a little bit more of the brown show through from last night, but that's okay. Now, let's say you make a mistake and you get too much of the orangey brown. Just take some of your gray stain and go over it, and that should disappear, and then you'll be fine. I like it. This is really looking like an old piece of wood. Very happy. All right, I'm gonna let this set up, then we can get to clear coat. So the time to give it a clear coat here. Now typically, I would use this satin, you know, polyurethane. It's a wipe on from Minwax, but it's all hard. So I'm down to this, this is a water-based Varathane. It's really getting expensive now, but this one's a semi-gloss. If I don't like the sheen, then I'm going to go out and buy a satin. But I think a semi-gloss is going to be fine and dandy. First of all, you got all these little cooties here from, you know, paper towel and stuff like that. So what I'm going to do, I got some brushes. Use my blower here. looks pretty good. That guy right there. Now we got all the cooties blowing off. We can give it a little shot of clear here. Make sure you give it a good shake. The spray bomb is a lot nicer to use than you know, brushing it on, especially on this really rough wood. The water base is nice, really gives it a good finish. And it will not change the color. Give it a couple coats. Good to go. Everything's all set up now. It looks really good. I'm very happy with that. Might be my new friend. I really like that. And it's so nice and quick, you know, you just have to use a spray bomb and away you go. You can buy in a can and then just use your little spray gun if you so wish. Okay, now the finishing touches. I'm going to put my rivets in. Oh yeah, that really sets her off. That really looks good. Those are never coming out. Now all that's left is to mount the painting. Just got to make sure I got some even spacing over here. That looks pretty good. Fine. Just using some 1/2 inch screws here. And one in the print, or in the painting. Nope, moved it. There we go. Don't be going, just until they're tight. Okay. Looks like I'm going to have the right amount of screws here, so that's good. Now I built this nice and square. The painting's a little crooked, but that's okay. Okay, let me just take a look at it here. Just gonna trust it. I'm just gonna trust it. Done. Okay, the moment we've all been waiting for here. It's gonna look good. There you have it. The reason why I needed a rustic frame. Isn't that the best painting in the world? I think so. That's gonna look really, really good in my living room. So happy. All right. Till next time, thanks for watching. Stay tuned. There it is. Willie's guitar. It does not get any cooler than that. And now you realize why I needed this rustic picture frame, you know, for this painting. So this is a painting done by my neighbor Brenda, and I'm going to put a link down to her studio here. Check it out. She's an absolute brilliant painter, and I'm so fortunate that I have this one done by her. It was a request by me. You know, you think, what would I really like to have hanging on my wall? Willie's guitar. So there you go. Thanks for watching.